All right, guys, welcome to another edition of Tuesday at 10, our weekly mastermind. How's everyone doing today? Josie, you doing good? Horacio, you doing good?
Awesome. Yes.
Good, good. So, what do we got going on? We got some wins going on. How's business? How's clients going? How's showings? Deals in the pipeline? Where y'all at? How's everything going?
Every
Horacio, we'll kick it off with you, man.
everything is going well, starting to pick up. Got a few showings set up, so I'm just getting back, just trying to get back into it again. I do have a few questions, but I guess I'll leave it for the end just to see how I'm starting to see how the way I had initially started in this business, it's starting to kind of transition. So I need to better that trait and kind of see how I can do things a bit better. So that way, in the future, it'll start going much smoother. So
Cool. Well, let's talk about that at the end of the meeting. I'm just going to run through. I have a quick little training to go through about branding, so we can run through that real
awesome,
quick.
awesome.
But yeah, Josie, how's everything going with you?
Things are good. Just uploading a lot of transactions into SkySlope today. So today is an admin day for me.
Very good, very good. So yeah, everything's going well on our end. We have some deals in the pipeline, but let me tell you what we've been working for them. These are not easy transactions. They're complicated. There's a lot of moving parts, dealing with some clients that need a little more attention, need a little more guidance. Uh, and, a lot of it is us trying to advise them on how to navigate the market. That's a big
Yep.
challenge right now. So, but things are going well. We have some good ones under contract set to close this month,
Nice.
and so everything's going well. So we can't complain. So, with that being said, real quick, that way we can get to Horacio's questions. Let's go ahead and jump right into the training. That way we can open it up to Q&A. I do have an 11 o'clock appointment, so we'll have to try to wrap it up about 10:35, 10:40. Okay,
Let's do
so
it.
um, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get this ready over here. I'm going to present my slideshow, and if I can find it, let's see. Present. Here we go. Sept. Okay, now I'm going to share my screen and we'll jump right in. Here we go. All right, awesome. Can y'all see my screen? Everything good?
Yes.
Yep.
Excellent. Sounds good. So today I want to talk about something that's really important. I've been noticing that in this challenging market, the agents that are not only doing well but thriving in the market are the ones that have a great identity, the ones that have a great brand, the ones that have a great reputation. I feel like there are so many agents that disappear into the crowd. Nobody really hears from them. Nobody really knows what they do, and a lot of people don't even know that they exist. Let's be honest. We're trying to make a name for ourselves. We want to get out there and we want to be easily identifiable and easily reachable. But if people can't identify who we are, they don't know what our message is and they don't know what our identity is, we're really just kind of shooting ourselves in the foot. We have to brand ourselves. Our brand is everything. People cannot take away your personal brand. So we're going to talk about that today on how to brand yourself. I love this topic. I've given talks on this topic before, and I found these images. I found this slide deck, and I thought it was really, really strong for a quick 10,000 foot view on how to brand yourself. So, when I'm talking about your identity, here's the truth about it. Every time you post, every time you speak, and every time you don't say anything, you're leaving a fingerprint. So everything that you do is a reflection of yourself and a reflection of your brand. So we see this all the time. Sometimes we see posts from professionals, sales professionals, business professionals, whatever the case is, sometimes you have to ask, is that in line with their personal brand? Is that in line with the message that they're trying to get out there about themselves and their brand? Because your brand isn't just your business identity, it's your everything identity. And we're going to talk about the importance of that because what your brand really is the emotion that you evoke when people say your name. When people say your name, what do they think? Because your brand is not your logo, it's the room that people enter when they hear your name. So think of a mental room. When they say Josie Reese, when they say Horacio Gumbel, when they say Gumbel Realty Group, when they say Property Hermanos Group, when they say EXP Realty, what do people think when they hear those names, when they hear those brands? It's not just your logo. People get that confused. Oh, my brand is my logo. My brand is this. Your brand is what people think when they see that logo, when they hear that name. So just imagine that imaginary room that I'm talking about in your mind. When strangers walk into that room, what do they see? What do they feel? Do they feel confidence? Do they feel authority? Do they feel comfort? Do they feel ease? Do they feel familiarity? What do they feel? That's what your brand is really all about. And here's the good part, we can design that room however we want. Because if we don't design it, they're going to decorate it for you. They're going to put their own spin on it. Well, I really don't know, but maybe Alan is about this. Maybe Josie is about this. They're going to assume, and then they're going to look at your inconsistencies. If you don't define your brand, don't let somebody do that for you. We talk about that all the time. We were watching the fights. I'm sure y'all watched the fights this weekend. There were some UFC fights. There was the Canelo fight. And what do they always say? Don't leave it up to the judges. If you're going to have a victory, make it a decisive victory. Because if you don't make it decisive, you leave it up to them. So branding yourself means locking in that room. Make that room whatever you want it to be. Good morning, Daniel. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. Sorry, I had some tech problems in here.
No problem. No problem. We're in our branding training here. So we're talking about branding yourself. What does it mean? Design every corner of that room. Control the way it smells. Control the sound. Control the feeling. I can't even tell you. I was showing some new construction this past week, and the houses that stood out were the ones that smelled good. How important is smell in real estate? It's
Yeah.
ultra important. So think about your brand. When people are walking into that imaginary room in their mind, what do they think about? Do they think about a fresh scent? Do they think about a rotten scent? Do they think about, oh, we all know those people where you say their name and you just cringe a little bit. Maybe they have a bad scent in their room that they've created for everybody else. So think about how you want people to think about you, how you want your room, which is your brand, to be portrayed. You choose the colors, you decide the story, and you decide what they remember. So this is what I love about branding is it's so much deeper than people think. Everyone thinks when you see that Nike swoosh, what do you think about? What does the swoosh mean to you? The swoosh to me means athletic quality. It means professionalism. It means elite athletics. When we see the Rolex logo, when we see the Bugatti logo. Now, what do you think when you see the Ollie's logo? When you see the Big Lots logo? What do you think when you see a Neiman Marcus logo? Think about even rolling through these brand names that I'm just mentioning right now. I get feelings about these places. I can see what a Neiman Marcus looks like. I can see what a Saks Fifth Avenue looks like and what it smells like. Y'all remember walking in to the Abercrombie store back in the 90s, in the 2000s? It smelled amazing and it was
Yeah,
dark and it was moody and the lighting was perfect.
Or
I
the
haven't been in
Hol
an Abercrombie store in I don't know how long.
or the Hollisters of
The
the world.
Hollister store, the music was blasting. They had subwoofers everywhere. You felt like you were in an upscale preppy nightclub or something of the sort. I could remember everything about it.
We couldn't see shit, but we could smell
That's
something and we
right. You
wanted to
could,
be a part of it.
yeah, yeah. I couldn't see the clothes, because it was
We
dark,
couldn't
but
see anything.
I thought the clothes were even cooler because I couldn't really see them. It just had a little spotlight. But anyway, choose the colors, decide what you want your story to be about because your brand isn't what you say, it's what people feel when you're not around. What do people talk about? They always say your friends are the ones that talk about you in a positive light when you're not around. If people are talking about you in a negative light when you're not around, they're really not your friends. But your brand echoes those sentiments, it echoes those thoughts, what you're putting out there. How are you showcasing your professionalism, your logos, your colors? What music are you putting behind your videos? Are you putting out low quality, high quality material? What is your stance? What is your brand? So here's a real question. What do you want that room in your mind, in that room in everyone else's mind? What do you want it to say when you're not there to speak? That's what your brand does for you. So, with that being said, that's the training that I have about your brand. Really think about it. Ask yourself the questions. What do you want to portray? What do you want others to think about you? And when you answer those questions for yourself, you'll really be able to dictate what you want your brand to be. So, I love this topic. I love talking about it. I love thinking about what people have done with their brands, even in real estate. What do we think when we see Ryan Serhant, when we see the Altman brothers? What are those images that you have in your mind? Whereas, what are the images in your mind when you hear about Saul Goodman? Have y'all seen Better Call Saul? What do you think when you hear the name Saul Goodman? You think kind of sleazy lawyer, maybe, working with some rough people and, he's kind of breaking the law. What do you think when you hear Thomas J. Henry? What do you think when you hear someone of that caliber? You know what I mean? I don't know anything about Thomas J. Henry. I don't. I've never used their legal services or whatever, but just the way they portray themselves.
He just looks like he means fucking business.
That's right.
What it looks like.
That's right.
I'm gonna hire him if I need it.
I know. I mean, I might call. I can't tell you how I know people that have called him just because of that.
Yeah.
Thomas J. Henry.
yeah.
How many people can recite Jeff Davis's phone number? 444 44444. I mean, I know his
His name
number.
is Jeff. I never knew his
I
name was
know
Jeff.
his name is Jeff.
I thought his name was
But
Ford, bro.
yeah, you got to call the fours. So when you see the billboard,
I
all you see
know,
is
four.
a four in your face, right? I mean, that's branding. That's the message. That's the feeling that you get.
Well,
So I love branding.
you were talking about logos and stuff, and it was like the first thing that came to mind was that outrage about the Cracker Barrel logo
True,
when they
true.
changed the logo, and people were like, "We're boycotting Cracker Barrel." I was like, "You should. They're food stuff."
Well, that was the best marketing that Cracker Barrel ever had. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I've never seen Cracker Barrel got so much free press on that.
Yeah.
You know, I think Cracker Barrel's probably doing better than they have in the last 15 years. People are now aware of it. It was a great publicity move for them. I've even read that some people said it was intentional, but that's
Which
a
is
different.
great. That's genius if that's the
It
case.
is. It is.
I
So anyway,
I think that one of the best guys that is huge and knows how to he mastered the branding, marketing, and I don't agree with all the things he does, but is Trump.
Of course.
He's everything he does from the minimalist thing, everything is on point,
For
and
sure.
it's just to better his image, his company, his, all those things.
Yeah, and the thing too, yeah, you're 100% right. And people go through adversity. Sometimes they have, you know, issues come up, but it's the representation of how they overcome it. You know, they always say that your reputation takes a lifetime to establish and moments to wreck.
Absolutely, yeah.
So when you're thinking about your brand, when you're thinking about your persona, what you want to portray to everybody, you know, and I've had conversations with Josie and even Josie's family, and they say, when people see you out in public, you are a representation of your brand. You're a representation of your business. So, you want to carry yourself in that light, portray yourself in that light, and the whole world is a stage, and we're performing, and we never know who we're in front of. We were Josie and I were talking about it. That was they did an article on the worst barbecue restaurants in airports throughout the country, and there were these secret shoppers or
Just in
whatever, and
Texas. Just
oh,
in
in
Texas.
Texas. And there were some secret shoppers, and they were talking about, I went to this barbecue place in Dallas airport, and the food was dry, and service was bad. You never know who you're serving.
Hmm.
Believe me, those people at those restaurants didn't think that they were serving a critic that was going to be writing an article about them that was going to get out to, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people. And so always remember that you never know who you're talking. It's the same thing on the phone. You never know who you're talking to on the other end, especially when you get these online leads or something like that. You never know. Some of these people, and you ask them the question is, are you looking to purchase cash, or are you looking to finance? We don't know. They might be they might be looking at a $50,000 lot with plans to put a $500,000 house on it. We have no idea. One of my highest dollar clients to date had that mentality, and people would ask him for a proof of funds before they would approve a showing. And he said, if people are requesting a proof of funds from me, I'm not going to do business with them. Because we all knew he had the funds. Him and his family had the funds, but it's you never know who you're dealing with when you're talking to someone. Never judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
Some of the craziest, you meet these people, and they look one way. Little do we know they're one of the wealthiest people we've ever known. One of our old clients, he had a real rustic appearance, and I was talking to a mutual friend, and he even told me, he said, that guy right there, the one who was, kind of rough exterior, he said he has more money than all of us put together times 10.
Yeah.
So we never really know. And that's uh those are those emotions that you have to decide for yourself. What are those emotions that you want to evoke as a professional?
Well,
I love the topic of branding.
another thing I want to throw in there is 98 98% of the clients you work with are going to look you up
True, true.
before you start working with them or while you're working with them, so they can, verify that they even want to continue working with you. In this day and age, you know, I just bought an HVAC system. I feel like I could install HVAC systems now. I've done so much research on what I was buying, why I was buying it, which brands, you know, should I spend the extra and go for a variable speed unit, or should it be a two-stage or a one-stage? I mean, I feel like I know what I'm looking at now. But, when you're about to do something as large as buying a home, you're going to really look at who you're working with. and the reviews, and which reminds me, and I need to have a conversation with Josie. I'm gonna have to write her a check to help me with this, but I need to I need to update my Zillow stuff, you know. But what in fact I had a client yesterday tell me like, Daniel, you have a lot of 5-star reviews, and that's why we're here with you. But they're old. I haven't updated, you know what I mean? Like that's the thing is I need to get up to date. But I do have a lot of 5-star reviews, and I'm proud of those. And that's our lifeblood. And Alan has a ton too, and so does Josie. I'm sure Horacio does too. But when it comes to branding, people will look you up. So everywhere they find you, you got to make sure you're on point and you're looking great. And Horacio, one thing I wanted to tell you is I love the photo of you and your wife. When I think of your brand, I think of y'all. You know,
Thank
you
you.
look like a boss, very well dressed. Your wife is gorgeous. I think y'all make a really nice package in terms of how you present your brand. So I just wanted to throw
Thanks.
that out there.
Appreciate that. Appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Well, cool, cool. Well, good convo. Josie, do you have anything to add?
No, no,
We
we're good.
good? Okay, so Horacio, we have a few more minutes here.
Yes.
Want to answer your questions. What can we help you with?
I wanted to see how you guys handle so let me give you a little bit of backstory really quick. When I first started, I obviously, when I met a prospect or a lead, I would get with them, and start showing them properties and guiding them, kind of get a feel for it. And then once we kind of start taking things a little bit serious, and that's when I start giving them, all the documentation as far as the buyer rep agreement, things like that. Well, lately I've had two incidents, as a matter of fact, one last week, one this week, where people I was working with all of a sudden took the properties that I showed them and went with another agent. So now I need to see, okay, what would be the best way to be able to present that buyer rep, whether it's a 1 day, a 20, a 1 hour, whatever, but to be able to present it before showing them the very first property without scaring them, without them feeling, oh, well, why are you making me sign documents if I don't even know who you are, things like that. Just wanted to pick your brain to kind of avoid these type of headaches down the road.
Cool. Well, I can jump in on this one. Daniel, do you have anything to add? Josie, do you have anything to add on that?
Yeah, I was gonna say, what we have found that works really well is offering a short term to begin with. You can make it a 5-day, 7-day, even a single property, agreement to where you can go meet them and you can let them know I want to make sure that you're the right fit for me as well.
All right.
You
Okay.
And a lot of times that makes them sit back and think, but it's true, you know. So I think that's the smartest way, and then you can tell them, one of the things we can do is if you like me and you want to continue working with me, we'll go ahead and extend that to 2 or 3 months or 6 months or whatever you feel comfortable with.
Gotcha. Okay.
But if they don't want to continue working with you, they're not tied to you for longer than 5 or 7 days.
Right. Okay.
And then if they choose not to work with you, forget them. You know, that's one thing I've kind of become a little bit cold in that, like, you can't let it bother you. Like, we've all had disappointments.
Yeah. Yeah.
The people that are going to work with you are going to work with you. You know, um, and that's just the way the cookie crumbles. We've all had major disappointments, but you can't let it bother you. And again, you know, one of my early mentors, he never got anything signed. I know the rules are getting, we have to get it signed now, but he was like, I don't, I work on a handshake. You either like
Yeah.
me or you don't. You either want me to help you or not. And I loved that. And I did that for many years. I didn't get anything signed unless I needed to for sky slope or whatever. But I would do it at the tail end, so
And that's how I've been working in the past, where I'm very clear, I'm very transparent with the client. I also tell them the way I'm being with you, I expect the same in return. I'm not going to waste your time, so don't waste mine. And it seemed to work well. But after these two, it's kind of like, okay, I need to start figuring this where I can kind of, you know, make it better so that way down the road, I'm not having to go through this situation. And yes, you go through things as you mentioned, where, it's just it's kind of like a little stab in the back, type of thing. But good thing I've never been the type where I'm holding grudges or anything like that. It's like, great, I wish you the best. Wasn't meant to be, and move on, but
So, one of the things, and this was a big pivot that I made, especially when all this stuff with the buyer representation changes happened. Okay. And right away, I went into, I'm always a big advocate for trying to get ahead of something. I don't want to be reactionary. I want to try to manage the expectation up front. And that's a challenge. Okay. It really is. I've gone through some high level coaching, and that was one of the big things is if you can manage expectations up front, you're setting yourself up for success. Now, we all know that everybody knows five or more realtors. Okay. So what you have to do is you have to position yourself as a consumer. What are you going to do that's bigger, better, and of more value than somebody else? And this goes back to your brand. You know, me personally, and I'm going to do this right now. I have a showing at 11. It's not far away. It's the way that okay, here's a quote. I want you to remember this. The way that you do the small things is the way that you do all things. It goes as deep as soon as you pull up to that house, you're being analyzed immediately. When they see your car, when they see you come out of your car, are you carrying anything? How are you dressed? How do you approach them? Do you whip out a handshake and introduce yourself? Are you making eye contact? Are you confident? Do you have an aura about you? Those are the things that they speak louder than words. So I make sure every time, and I've made videos about this, when I go on a showing, I always run my car through the car wash. Even if it's raining, I run my car through the car wash because I want to show up in a clean car. I learned that in my real estate classes. What's the best car for real estate? A clean car. Doesn't matter what you drive. I don't care. That's not important. If you're driving an old car, a new car, whatever car, if it's clean, that's what matters, right? So it's the little things. Now let me show you. I don't know if you can see this, Horacio.
yeah,
Is it coming out in the camera?
yeah,
Anyway, this little pamphlet I made, especially when we're over here talking about trying to explain our value as buyers agents. Because when all this happened, we didn't know if people were going to be hiring buyers agents anymore at all. So I said, okay, here's what we're going to do. Everybody that I meet, they all get a pamphlet. And you probably can't see it, but anyway, right here, I have reviews. This is what we're doing. Here's a list of everything that a buyer's agent does. Down here, reviews. Here's the front. Here's all of our contact information. These are all of our designations. This is, and I give this to every single buyer.
that creates value instantly.
This is value
Yeah,
because my very first broker, who was one of my best mentors, he called it residue. Okay, every time you meet with someone, you have to leave some residue. What are you leaving with them? What are they taking home with them? And every buyer is taking this with them. What other agent is giving these out? None.
yeah,
I can guarantee you none of them.
We also have like a magazine that we give out to buyers. Like, so that pamphlet is the first thing that goes out. And then once they become serious in the process, we give them a magazine that is branded to the hermanos with the team that they're working with, the steps in the process, questions to ask your lender, things like that. But it's completely branded to them. So they have their contact information is on everything, all of the, the whole process, what to expect. If they read it, they read it. That's fantastic. If they don't read it and they just still ask you the questions, that's cool. But just providing that piece goes a long way.
Now that's when I meet them. Okay. Before I meet them, you set the stage before you even go. Before I meet them, and I'll go, I can do a whole training on this and I can provide all of my resources that I send. Okay. Before I meet them, I reach out to them, I introduce myself. I have a blank digital business card that I send. Because, like I said, I'm trying to get ahead of this. I'm sending them a blank digital business card that has my Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter. When they open that and they see all my links and they see my designations and they see four-time icon, Texas top producer, here's the thing. If you're not going to hype yourself up, who is? Nobody will. We have to be our biggest cheerleader. So I'm putting it out there, and I let them know you're dealing with a pro here.
Yeah.
I'm not a fly by night, you know, Joe Schmo. I've been doing this for 10 years and I've accomplished a lot. And here's what I have to offer. You know what's funny is sometimes I still don't get the job. You know, nope, because really there are some people that just they don't care. But I try to get ahead of it and I do everything that I can. Not only do I send a blink card right after I talk to them, I say, "Great speaking with you. I look forward to meeting you at the property." I send my digital business card and then I send them a video of myself. And I'll send you the video. Hey, I saw that you were checking out some houses online. That's a great choice. I just want to let you know I'm going to be available every step of the way. If you want to go see new construction, be sure to call me first. And I look forward to working with you. Does everything sound good? Great. I look forward to working with you. I want them to know who I am before they even see me. I want them to hear my voice. I want them to see my face. I want them to know that they're getting ready to meet a professional.
It's all about value, like
It's all
everything
about
that we
value.
talk
So,
about. Like
yes.
you have to, when you're meeting those people, you just kind of like, yes, they may have looked you up or anything like that, but you always have to be presenting your value, whether it is, whether you're showing them one property, where you're showing them five properties, whatever the case, you have to present your value at all times and make sure that they know you are the professional and your value is going to be greater than any other realtor that they know. So just always be doing that. Plant the seeds of value every conversation, pre-conversation when you're meeting them, and be flexible. We have, because there are so many realtors around us. If we're not, unfortunately, if we're not available or if we're not answering our phones or we can't go somewhere without asking them, like, hey, I can't do this time. Would this time work for you? If we're so busy, like setting the boundaries of like, hey, I can't do that, or I can't do this day, I can't do it, they'll go find someone else. And at that point, they don't care. They just want to see the house. They just want to get into the house. So
Right.
always, but if you present your value, they'll want to work with you and they'll want to wait for you for when you can show them.
And
So just plant the seeds.
yeah, and the other thing that we do, and Josie has been helping a lot with this, not only with my clients but Daniel's clients, as soon as they're input into our database, they are immediately sent an entire buyer's guide in PDF format. Here's an intro, here's about me, and here's a free buyer's guide. It's the value piece.
And don't be late. On that note, Alan has
I
to
gotta
go.
go. Yes, don't be late. I gotta go. So, Josie, I made you the host.
Okay.
Y'all go ahead and y'all can stay. Who is Mom's iPhone?
I know. Welcome, Mom's
Hi,
iPhone.
Mom's iPhone.
It's me, Susan.
Hi, Susan. How are you doing? Hey, Susan, if
Good,
you have a
hi.
question, I have an 11 o'clock showing, so I do need to run. But
Okay.
I would love for you to, if you have any questions, ask Daniel, ask Horacio, ask Josie. Horacio, this is Susan McDonald. She's one of our great agents in San Antonio. We've known her for years and years. She's a awesome person. But I am gonna have to run. I have an 11 o'clock. Josie, you're the host. Y'all stay on as long as y'all like, and I will see y'all next Tuesday. Okay, guys?
All right, sounds
Right.
good. Good luck.
Awesome.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Does anyone else have any